good to have you here, Leanne. Leanne Foster's passion is to help people learn how to live the healthiest, happiest, most fulfilling lives possible. As a master level psychologist, counselor, a wellness and epigenetics coach, a neurofeedback provider, a stress resilience expert, a Psych-K facilitator, and a lover of God and people. Leanne gives her clients the type of care that is well-rounded, holistic, and evidence-based. Even more importantly, she helps people learn how to take care of themselves and become their own healers. Leanne goes above and beyond in serving the families that come to NeuroSource. Check out their testimonial page. Leanne is the wife of a wonderful psychologist, that would be Dr. Dale Foster, with whom she works at NeuroSource, and the mother of two beautiful and brilliant young women. Leanne is a survivor of childhood trauma herself and has used the tools she was trained to help her in her own healing journey. She has been able to use her education and personal traumas and healing experiences to offer transformational services to people who want to help their bodies and brains heal themselves as God intended. Let's give a round of applause for Miss Leanne Foster. You must have a title with all those different things other than just Miss.
No, that's it, just Miss. Well, good morning.
Morning.
Do I need this?
No.
Yeah.
It's better if you have it.
Better if I have it. Okay, thanks. All right, so I want to talk about saving your brain by sleeping well. And you can't get just one good night's sleep. You need to have many good nights sleep. It needs to be a habit. You need to create sleep habits. We call this sleep hygiene. Okay, so you need to actually plan and prepare on a daily basis to sleep well. Your sleep is so important for your health. Actually, when you sleep, it detoxes your brain and helps you avoid dementia and Alzheimer's. So it's super important. It also kind of helps you function well the next day. How many of you have trouble sleeping periodically? Okay. How many of you have trouble sleeping on a regular basis? Okay. And that's typical. So we're going to talk about some life hacks that you can do to help yourself sleep better. Okay, so we actually need between 8 and 9 hours of good sleep a night. Statistics show that about 6% of the population can do well on 6 hours of sleep, but about 90% of the population believe they can do well on 6 hours of sleep. So there's a big difference there. Thank you, Ms. Gina. So why is it important? Again, the brain is doing a lot of things when you're sleeping. It's integrating information. It enables you to learn deeply. Long-term memory, creativity, and productivity are enhanced by good sleep. The brain detoxifies at night, like I just said, but it also, sleep protects your immune system, your endocrine and metabolic system, and your cardiovascular system. So it's important for all of your health. The dangers of sleep deprivation. Sleep deprivation has been a factor in some of the biggest disasters that we know of. Look at this figure. Nationwide costs estimated about workplace issues for sleep deprivation, $62.3 billion per year. It's a pretty big cost. Road hazards, sleep deprivation is as bad as drunk driving. Look at that. So it's a big deal. The health risks. So we have a huge increase in diabetes and what we call metabolic syndrome. So even if you aren't technically diagnosed as diabetic, so many people are pre-diabetic. So they're on their way. And sleep deprivation is huge with regard to this. You cannot have healthy insulin production and healthy response to your food if you're not sleeping well. You're also not going to lose weight if you're not sleeping well. We decrease our melatonin production when we don't sleep well. And melatonin is not just a sleep hormone, it's a healing hormone. So it's incredibly important. Our brain clearly loses the ability to think logically. So if you notice when you're not sleeping well, you get really emotional sometimes. and you start making emotional decisions, and you may get in conversations where you say things you wish you wouldn't have said. That's because you're not sleeping super well. We become impulsive and emotional and reactive. And again, I can't stress this enough, the increase in Alzheimer's and dementia has been like drastic. It's scary. And if we don't get a rein in on this, we're going to put on our children and the following generations a huge burden. So sleeping well is one of the ways that you can prevent dementia and Alzheimer's. So here's what we can do. First of all, you've got to adapt a sleep mindset. Sleep is not just something that happens. You don't just go lay down in your bed and sleep occurs. We have to work at sleep because we no longer live the way God intended us to. We're not out in the sunshine the way that we need to be. Our feet aren't on the earth the way that they need to be. And all these things affect us tremendously. We're looking at blue light with our devices and our computers all the time. And one of my favorite neurosurgeons calls this blue light the alien blue sun. It does a huge number on our brain and our circadian rhythm. And so we need to get this mindset that I've got to actually work at sleep. I have to have a plan and I have to put it into practice. We need to learn to calm the racing mind. How many of you get up in the middle of the night because your mind starts going about things that you've got to do?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's calming. But there's ways that we can calm that. And one of the ways is what I like to call gratitude breathing. So one of the practices that we teach our clients, and we actually hook them up to biofeedback so they can see how they're doing, is we teach them to breathe out of the diaphragm. Most of us end up breathing out of the chest. So when you breathe, your chest starts to rise and fall. Well, you get stress hormones going through the body when you breathe that way. If you watch a little kid, their belly starts moving in and out when they're breathing. And that's how we're supposed to breathe. Okay, so we train our clients to move the breath down to the diaphragm and breathe really slowly and rhythmically, not deeply. You can get too much oxygen, carbon dioxide exchange if you're breathing deeply and get lightheaded. So you want to breathe with ease and breathe gently. And then you want to think about something that makes you feel good. So for a lot of people, they'll think about being on the beach or being in the mountains or being by a stream or wherever that is, and train yourself to spend time really diving into feeling and thinking about what is positive. Okay, you want to grow those positive emotions because our brain is a self-protective organ. It immediately thinks about what could go wrong, worst case scenario. You do not have to work at that. That just comes, right? But you have to work at sustaining time thinking about what is good. In the scriptures in Philippians, there's a scripture that says, whatever is true and noble and right and praiseworthy and excellent, think on these things. So that's a practice, right? Practice that gratitude breathing. And you only have to do it like 2 to 5 minutes of time, about 3 times a day, to have a pretty great impact on your hormone health, on your immune health, and on your ability to think more clearly. So put that into practice. All right, some other sleep hacks. Sleep, actually, your ability to sleep well begins in the morning. You've got to get out in the sun. The sun is not, I don't know why we all of a sudden think that God made us so that we have to wear sunscreen. We actually need to be out in the sun without sunscreen, and most sunscreen is very toxic. So you want to get on a website called Environmental Working Group, and they rate the sunscreens for their safety. Because if you go into the store and buy Neutrogena or all those brands, they're toxic. They're more likely to cause cancer. You're baking carcinogens into your skin. But get out in the sun at least 20 minutes a day with no sunscreen and no sunglasses. The sunlight needs to go in through your retina to help set your circadian rhythm so you can sleep. And you need to move your body and exercise, and preferably out in the sunshine. Okay? Caffeine has a lot of good benefits. It really does. But you kind of need to know your genes. For some people, caffeine early in the day will actually help them sleep at night. But for some people, caffeine is going to disrupt their sleep. So pay attention to your body and figure that one out. Stay away from inflammatory foods. Everybody who knows me knows I get on this bully pulpit. Gluten should be out of your diet. No other country in the world will accept American wheat into their borders. It is toxic. It is sprayed constantly with Roundup, which is glyphosate, which originally was Agent Orange. And so you do not want to be eating this stuff. It inflames the brain and it inflames the body. And sugar is terrible. And we need to stay away from those kind of foods. You need to eat whole, real food, like God made it. Yep. Pick a sleep time that you're gonna go to bed and stick with it. And pick a time you're gonna get up, preferably 8 to 9 hours later, and stick with it. You've gotta train your body that you are sticking with this rhythm. Moving your sleep time over 30 minutes, even on a weekend, is similar physiologically to you taking an airplane trip overseas. It's jet lag. And so you'll notice as you get older that you might feel kind of hungover even if you didn't have any alcohol to drink if you go to bed late. It's hard on the body. Light, sound, temperature, and air quality control. You need to have your bedroom dark. No blue light from your devices. In fact, your devices should be on airplane mode. Your Wi-Fi should be turned off at night because it affects your body and your brain terribly. You need to, if you've got like what are these, fire alarms or whatever that have little red lights on them, put some black tape over them. You need to have a black room at night. It needs to be cool, like 66 degrees is a great temperature. You need to have a good air quality, so a good air purifier is good, and also that provides that consistent sound that helps kind of wash out sound variations at night that might disrupt your sleep. Limit your nighttime use of blue light devices, so your iPhone, your iPad, your computer. Stop those a couple hours before you want to go to bed. Stop using them. And there's, on the iPhone, it's called, what is it called? Night shift. And set it from sunset to sunrise, and that'll make an amber screen come on at sundown to protect you from the blue light. On the computer, it's a free download called Flux that you can do the same thing. But you really want to be off those devices, even with that protection. And my reading glasses have blue light blockers, and you can even get prescription lenses with blue light blockers so that you have an added layer of protection against that blue light. It prevents your body from making melatonin and dopamine. And so we have this huge rise in young people with suicide, depression, ADHD, and it's most likely incredibly linked to all the blue light. They've been like an experimental generation. We've raised them on this stuff without knowing what the impact really was. And now we're understanding that it's, when you mess with dopamine, you mess with motivation, mood, and all kinds of things. Supplements, magnesium. Everybody needs to be taking magnesium. We do not get enough. So I brought some magnesium for whoever the winner is today. But magnesium citrate, magnesium glycinate are really great supplements. Most people need 300 to 400 milligrams a night, and it will help calm you and help you sleep better. It can also help with body pain.
What is it?
Magnesium glycinate or citrate. Melatonin, some people can handle melatonin. 3 milligrams is the optimal, but again, there's individual differences, so you have to play around with it yourself. Yes, ma'am.
I got a question about melatonin. You're just saying it doesn't necessarily work for everyone, but earlier you said it had a healing quality. So
right. Our bodies make melatonin on their own. So some people, as we age, we don't make it as much. So some people do well to supplement with it. Some people it gives them headaches or it just doesn't seem to work.
Oh, I was just going to say, if it seemed neutral to your body, would it still be good to take it because of the healing aspect?
It can be if you're not having negative consequences to it, especially as we get over 40. You know, there's some indication that with younger kids, you might not want to supplement it outside of the guidance of somebody who knows what they're doing. Because it could signal the body not to make it on its own, although that's not proven out in the literature, but there's theories about that. So just with kids, you want to get help.
I dropped melatonin to about like 1.5,
Yeah.
and it worked much better. Much
Yeah.
better.
See, it's individual differences. You gotta play around with the dosage. That's good to hear. So your body's responding to 1.5. That's great.
Do you recommend the supplement, or, I know that I buy the cherry juice, you know?
Yeah,
the
cherry
dark
juice is a good way.
Which one do you recommend?
I always like to get food-based products. So if that works for you, then I would keep using cherry juice. It's a good way to stimulate melatonin.
So cherry juice has melatonin?
Yeah,
in it?
but you need to get
The dark
real dark cherry juice with no
So what if
sugar
you get
added.
the actual cherries that are like organic cherries that are like the dark cherries? Is that what
It's
the
not
thing
as
is?
concentrated
Okay,
as the
so it
juice,
has
so
a
the
low
juice is a
one.
better option.
Okay.
Vitamin D3 is a prohormone, and you need to have vitamin D3. And look at your blood work with your doctor. You really should be between 40 and 60 to optimize your vitamin D3, and that helps with sleep and so many other things.
Lynn,
Yeah.
should you have vitamin K along with the D3?
Vitamin K2 with D3 is a great combo. It helps the D3 absorb. Some genetically can't absorb very well, and K2 has a lot of other benefits, so it's a good way to combine it. Okay, some other things. We also already talked about reducing the inflammatory foods. Regular exercise is important, and I'm going to give you guys a name of an exercise you can look up on YouTube. It's a 4-minute exercise, and it's called the nitric oxide dump. And you can do it, you don't need equipment, you don't need anything, you can do it anywhere. And they have researched this 4-minute exercise. It increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which basically means it helps your brain make new neurons. So it's very healthy for heart, for brain, for everything, and anybody can do 4 minutes.
It's nitric what now?
Nitric oxide dump, and you can look it up on YouTube, and there it is, 4 minutes. But getting regular exercise is important. Regular relaxation and meditative practice, I already told you about that gratitude breathing. That is super easy to do. You don't need any special equipment, and everybody can stop and breathe and think about what they love. Learning new things. Keep your mind active, and everybody in here does that. That's why you're here. Social interaction and supportive relationships. There's been some new research on this showing that people who don't have close social ties, it's actually worse for their health than smoking their whole life. So it's super important to have those ties. Lion's mane mushroom. These mushrooms, more and more research is coming out about mushrooms, and not just lion's mane, but lion's mane is a great supplemental mushroom. You can get it in a coffee form by a company called Four Sigmatic. You can get it online in a powder form and add it to smoothies.
Is that AIP protocol approved?
I'm not sure. You have to look on that.
Okay.
But also, like the baby Bella mushrooms and all these different kind of mushrooms that you can just buy in the store and eat, there's evidence that that is slowing the progression of dementia and having many brain benefits. So get mushrooms in your diet if you're not sensitive to them. Omega-3 fatty acids are super important. Need a good quality fish oil. I don't recommend that people go to, Walgreens and buy their supplements. Most of those supplements are full of fillers and synthetic vitamins. You don't want that. You want high quality supplements. The things you want to look for in a fish oil are 100% triglyceride. That means it's been refined so that there's not going to be heavy metals in it and that it's going to be a good quality product. But you want to be taking between 2 and 5 grams of fish oil a day for optimal heart and brain health. MCT coconut oil is another fat that can be really good. It's a liquefied coconut oil. And it actually does not store in your liver like other fats. So it's very bioavailable for your brain to burn. And a lot of people do intermittent fasting and they'll put that in their coffee and drink it, and it helps, it's brain fuel that is so good. And so the more we can get our brain fueled up and awake in the morning and high performing, the better we're gonna sleep at night. Because our brain actually physiologically processes through our stressors. And if it's not doing that efficiently during the day, then guess what it does at night? That's what we don't want. Okay, curcumin and green tea. So curcumin is the active ingredient in turmeric. And green tea, you can get that in a supplement form called ECGC. And those are, again, just great brain foods and antioxidants. That's it. Okay. Anybody have questions? Yes.
The turmeric, I've been told is just good for inflammation. What are the other benefits? I mean, should we be putting that in our diet every day?
Not every day. Here, and I'm glad you brought that up. I'm not a fan of supplementing every day. Like I take supplement breaks every weekend. We need to have oxidation. Our body needs to go through certain stressors. So if we're overdoing antioxidants, which turmeric basically is, then our body doesn't get the good stress that it needs. So I would at least use it several times a week. And you do need a more bioavailable form. So if you get turmeric in a natural form, you want to combine it with pepper, or like an olive oil to help your body process it. Yes, ma'am.
What's the best cure, if you wake up chronically 2 o'clock in the morning, what's the best thing to put you back to sleep?
Yes.
That's a big one.
So that is a different issue for everybody. For some people, that's a sign of hormone imbalance. That can be a sign of low estrogen. I'm a firm believer that everybody should have a functional medical doctor who understands health. Conventional medical doctors don't really deal with health. They deal with disease.
In their opinion, if they can't prescribe it or they can't cut on you, they don't.
Right, it's not, and that's a whole system issue that I won't preach on, so one thing would be to have somebody who really knows what they're doing, check out your hormone levels. But another thing would be to practice that gratitude breathing and make sure you're not eating too close to bedtime. Make sure at night, if you're gonna eat fruit and things that have sugar in them, do it at lunch. Don't do it at night. And all this stuff going around on Facebook that says having wine at night helps you sleep is bunk. It is ridiculous. Wine might help you fall asleep, but you're gonna wake up.
It's better to have it at lunchtime.
It is better to have it at lunchtime and then
But
get
the
an
boss
Uber.
doesn't like
My boss does.
And on the mushrooms, is cooked as good as
Mm-hmm.
raw?
Yeah.
For the benefits?
Yeah.
And the just white button mushrooms? are
Yeah,
they-
I would just get as many types of mushrooms as you can because they all have so many different benefits. Yeah.
What's your experience with the matcha green tea?
Yes.
Yeah, matcha can be good for some people. Some people can't. I don't do well with matcha. I get jittery and it upsets my stomach. So,
What is it supposed to do though?
well, it's got a lot of the ECGC in it, the green tea. So it's got antioxidant qualities and anti-inflammatory qualities. And actually, the ECGC, they sometimes talk about how that will help your physical health, as well as holy basil. Holy basil, otherwise called Tulsi tea, they call that exercise in a bottle. You can have some benefits of physical exercise with that tea. And that holy basil can also help, it's an adaptogenic herb, which means if your body's stressed out, it helps you calm down. But if you're lacking energy, it'll help give you a little bit of energy, but not caffeine energy. You know? So again, everybody's different. There is no thing as a one size fits all. So you pay attention to your body.
What is your take on the dark chocolate? I mean,
Same thing. Some people are really sensitive to the catechins in dark chocolate, and some people do really well with them. So pay attention.
what percentage do you recommend?
70% and above.
70 or above.
Yeah, and I would look for a brand like Lily's that doesn't have sugar in it. It's got stevia.
Where do you get that at?
Whole Foods, Kroger's even carry
So
Lily's
Ghirardelli's
now.
not.
They've got sugar in it.
I
Yeah.
do the 95%. So
Yeah.
it's-
And they're gonna have less sugar in it for sure.
Skinny Me chocolate also is sweetened with stevia,
Okay,
and it's probably the best sugar-free chocolate I've ever tried.
okay, skinny me.
What is it?
Skinny me.
chocolate,
Skinny Me.
you order it online, and your first order is free with, you pay for shipping like $4.95,
Okay.
and then they get you hooked.
How many supplements a day do you take?
I don't even know. I take a lot.
I take a lot too.
I take a lot, but I rotate mine. And I have some autoimmune conditions, so it's very, and I help people figure out what supplements to take for themselves.
I have,
Of all the sugar supplements, stevia is one that is highly recommended.
Stevia is an herb.
Right.
Actually has some beneficial properties, and even for people with Lyme, it's shown some benefit. And Swerve is a decent sugar replacement. You can get that at Whole Foods.
What
my
about,
last question, I promise. CBD oils.
Different for everybody. I have low blood pressure, so when I take CBD oil, it increases my heart rate because CBD will lower your blood pressure. Mine's already low, so I would never take it to help me sleep. So it's different for everybody. And genetically, there's different people respond to CBD and THC very differently depending on their genes.
Well, yeah.
You talked about a special type of doctor. Can you make recommendations and say again the type of doctor?
Functional medical doctors. So there's 3 people in Memphis that have actual training through the Institute of Functional Medicine. One is Jeremy Draper, and none of these take insurance because they have to be able to spend time with you, and insurance doesn't allow doctors to spend time with you. 15 minutes. So Jeremy Draper, and he's at wellfitmedicine.com. Kate Gassaway is a nurse practitioner who's trained for the Institute of Functional Medicine, and she's in Collierville at, I think it's called Solutions Medical. And one of our most well-known OBGYNs, oh my gosh, her name just slipped away from me. Susan Merman has started getting trained at Institute of Functional Medicine. So I'm looking forward to having her as an option as well.
I'm using Dr. John's mother's, who's a natural doctor.
He's a naturopath, which is not recognized in the state of Tennessee. Yeah,
Who's the one in
sadly.
Collierville?
He's in Germantown. Oh, who's Kate Gassaway, Gassaway.
And where does she work?
She's at Solutions Medical in Collierville. And those 3 can run blood work and can do all the kind of things that you really need to have done. Yes.
suggestion, I have a daughter that you don't really wanna, when she wakes up in the morning, she's most of the time in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Any suggestions? I mean, it's like.
Phone number is.
She may not, some people genetically are late. They need to go to bed later and get up later. She may be one of those people. And we can change a lot of our genetic expression, but our circadian rhythm is very hard to mess with. So if you're a late circadian person, you're gonna have a hard time if you have to get up early in the morning. You're gonna be grouchy probably. But that's a hard hack.
I could use some help.
When you're sleep deprived, there's the temptation, not that you can do it when you work, but to take a nap. And does that nap really goof up your
It depends
routine?
on who you are. So play around with it. I mean, for a lot of people, napping is great. It improves performance. Many cultures have a siesta. And for pilots, there's a lot of research. Napping helps them with safety, so it can be good. But there are people who, when they take a nap, they feel worse after that. So you need to know who you are.
Depends on
I
how
think
much of a deep sleep you go into.
Yeah, that's what I was
You don't
gonna
wanna
say.
It can, but it depends on the person.
Well, that's me.
Yeah.
I can't do deep
I
sleep.
can't get into deep sleep either, I'm the
Yeah.
same way.
If I take like a 15-20 minute,
Yeah.
even if I
Yeah.
just lay down in a dark
Rest.
room and just
Yeah.
rest for a bit,
Yeah.
that kind of energizes me.
Yeah,
Same here, I'm the same
absolutely.
way.
Eating yogurt, is supposed to help with your gut or whatever.
It's different for everybody. Some people have histamine reactions, so when they eat fermented food, it's not good. We saw a guy in our practice came in, he'd gone to a naturopath who gave him a bunch of probiotics,
Right.
and it sent him off into a psychotic break that they couldn't get him out of for 4
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
So probiotics are not for everybody.
Right,
They're just not.
Yeah, that's more for me.
And one of the things, we have a chance to talk quite often, but the key point is, it's different for everybody.
Yeah,
That, you read everything, it says, oh, this is the next big thing, you need to do this, and it might be, but there's no guarantee. It's all
Right.
based on so many other factors, so
Yeah.
that's, I think, probably the critical thing to remember.
yeah, you gotta pay attention and tune into your body.
Yeah.
Would you substitute, like honey?
Honey, if you got local, raw, organic honey, it can help with the immune system. But like any sugar, you don't want to overdo it.
You had mentioned to me once that it would be a good idea to do 23andMe, and what is the advantage of knowing?
So I'm with a company called Apeiron, and we do genetic testing and genetic evaluation. We run the whole genome, but nobody, we don't share your data. 23andMe sells your data. So if you're gonna do 23andMe, set up a fake email account and a fake name, and when you get the results back, download them on your computer and get rid of the email account. Because they're selling data all over the place. So, all right, well, thank you all.